Dude, every time I hear this music, it's like click and I'm ready.
Yeah.
And the energy just goes up.
Exactly.
It's
I actually kind of wait in anticipation for this song because it is the cue that we have kind of learned that pumps up the energy and gets us ready for this. It feels good. It feels good.
Because today's Wednesday night and we're going to try to release this episode Thursday morning. And it's dark outside and it's end of the day. And I was feeling a little bit sluggish. And then the music came on. And I'm like ready to go.
I knew you were a little bit sluggish because we offered the opportunity to do this earlier in the morning. You're kind of like, I don't know, I'm gonna get in at 9, bro. So we're getting it done.
Awesome. Well, welcome back to the pod. Appreciate you, bud.
Always good to be here, brother.
So today we had something really interesting happen that I kind of want to just get right into. Ron DeSantis officially announced that he will be running for president.
Yes, and it kind of broke the internet.
And he did it in the most odd way.
Yes, he did.
Never done before like this.
No.
For people who are unfamiliar, Ron DeSantis did a Twitter Spaces, which is basically a live audio podcast almost, or you listen in only. And it was hosted by Elon Musk and David Sachs.
Yes. Elon Musk, the man of the people, and David Sachs, considered kind of a right-winger venture capitalist of sorts, but deep into the politics as well.
And David Sachs is Ron DeSantis's, I believe, #1 donor.
Is that right? I didn't know that.
So. Yes.
Wow. I watch David Sachs' All In podcast. Do you watch that?
Yes, sometimes.
It's worth watching because you have 4 relatively sophisticated men, venture capitalists, by the way, that all talk about anything from politics to investing to obviously what's going on kind of in the social apparatus. It's definitely worth listening to. So I enjoy David Sachs giving his pretty not far right, but pretty right-ish type of color commentary. And he's definitely a supporter of DeSantis for sure.
And he's a little bit more laid back of a guy. A little more chill of a guy.
He is. I think he understands that the world is the way that it is.
So my gut reaction, I listened to the whole thing. Did you listen to the whole thing?
Yeah.
So the beginning of the Twitter Spaces was kind of a clusterfuck.
That's when we saw tweets from like Trump supporters that was like, what was it? Not DeSantis. It was like defail or something like that. Yeah.
So it took him like 20 something minutes to get started because it kept on disconnecting and kicking people out. Maybe foreshadowing of how this is going to go for him. Well, I don't know.
What I found interesting is that this is like, I mean, Elon Musk is the man of the people. He now has and owns the town square, just Twitter. And this would be an opportune time to show off the technical prowess of what he's been building in Twitter. And Spaces completely took a shit.
Yes.
It's kind of like, bro, like if you're going to demo your software, this is not how you're supposed to do it.
It reminded me of that moment when they rolled out the Cybertruck and they said that the window was bulletproof.
Yeah.
And they threw the ball at it and it shattered.
But hold on. There are people who deeply believe that was part of the plan because of all the viral clips that happened from it.
Okay.
Like, could he be playing 4D chess and breaking his own window of the Tesla?
I don't think so. I think it just broke.
You think it just?
I mean, like that would say he planned for Twitter Spaces to fail today. I don't think he planned that.
Fair enough.
I think when he's trying to showcase, he's trying to showcase. That's like saying I blew up the rocket on purpose. Like no, like you don't want it to blow up. It just happens.
That's an expensive endeavor too.
Exactly. So that Twitter Spaces finally got going. And David Sachs kind of leads it in. Elon kind of leads it in. They kind of both do their intro. And Elon gives it a little spiel. Welcome to the Twitter Spaces. This is a great opportunity to have unfiltered, uncensored conversation with no notes, no teleprompter, and honest conversation. And they said, DeSantis, do you want to say something? And then he read a statement for 30 minutes.
Yeah, which was complete. Which I was just like, bro, is he going? I was actually thinking about because I was listening to this at my daughter's archery practice, And so, my daughter's shooting arch, bows and arrows and all that stuff, and I'm listening far away, so it's not bothering anybody. And when I heard that it was going to be an unscripted, open forum, let's just have kind of organic conversation, and then DeSantis goes into the script, I was like, I felt like I was about to turn it off. I was like, come on, guys.
It was really disappointing.
It was a bad intro. DeSantis, it was too scripted. It was too vanilla. It was much better after he was done with his whole half-hour spiel.
Again, 30 minutes was exaggeration. Maybe it was like right under 20 minutes. And he ended that speech with, oh, by the way, go to this website and you can donate. It was a commercial.
Yeah, it was a commercial. And frankly speaking, I think he's going to get a lot of donations from this.
He will. It was a really successful, if it's a commercial to pick up donors, he probably picked up a lot of money. So he did that, gave his spiel, and then they brought in different people to ask questions.
Right.
All of the people that came in to ask questions were DeSantis supporters, DeSantis major donors, and DeSantis team journalists.
Yes. And the questions they asked were within the narrative of the script.
Correct.
Number one. And number two, they were really softball-y.
I mean, one question was, every conversation or every question started with, Elon Musk, thank you so much. Thank you for buying Twitter. You're the best man in the face of the earth. Mm-hmm. We love you. You're awesome. Can I kiss your ring? And then you went to DeSantis, which I thought was really weird because everyone had to kiss Elon's ring, pay the tribute, and then they went to DeSantis. I thought that was really odd that everyone did it. And then they go to DeSantis and they ask him a question like, Governor DeSantis, you were so awesome and amazing and fantastic during COVID. Yes. Can you tell us more about how awesome you are?
Yeah. And then he would say, well, from what I understand, we kept Disney open and all the theme parks open when out in California where they were all closed. So that's why I was better. I was like, come on, bro.
Governor DeSantis, you were so amazing about closing critical race theory in Florida. Can you tell us how amazingly awesome you are at doing that and achieving that goal?
Exactly. And then he would go into saying, well, these 4 years, I thought, I was going to do all this and I got to make sure that I get all the meat off the bone and make sure that I was like, yeah, it was very commercially. I think there were so many opportunities where he could have gone off script and we would have appreciated more because and I think this is what people appreciate about this podcast with you, Matt, is that we can speak to the heart. We're not always going to be right.
Correct.
And frankly speaking, we always make clear, I think, that we're not here to be right. We're just here. We're not here to be right. We're not here to tell you how to live. We're just talking about important topics that are happening in the world out there, and we're speaking from our heart.
Correct.
And I would take a gander and say is that we kind of want to hear that from our politicians as well.
Yes. And to see it go that direction, and even more disappointing than the questions, was that after DeSantis gave a response that seemed very scripted, very planned, there was no follow-up questions.
Yes.
Not one.
Not a single one.
It's question, answer, next question.
They should have challenged them on some of them. Like
nothing.
One of the best questions, and one of the best questions you can ever ask in any interview is why? Mm-hmm. Why did you do that? Why did you think that way? Why did it happen that way? And have them unpack the reasons, the rationale as to why, from their worldview, from their mental models, why they did that. Because that helps you understand the man behind the mask.
If you are a donor and you want to know what Ron DeSantis' future talking points will be, they achieved that goal.
Oh, for sure.
If you are a voter and you want to know what type of man he is, you learned nothing. And it was a huge disappointment.
I think that's a great point. We learned very little about the man. He's a family man. He's got lots of kids. He obviously, in regular life pulls from that he's a family man, his husband, he's a father. But yet we don't get to ever really see that. And I think for me, at least, I don't vote. Maybe we can talk about that later. But for me, if I was a voter, I would want to vote for someone who has integrity, has a character that I can support. Because at the end of the day, I know that integrity and who he is from as a person is going to inform the policy decisions he makes. I don't want him reading off a script saying the clown shit that he knows everyone wants to hear. That's not important. I had a question coming into this actually. As a voter, because you are a voter,
I am.
What is the main thing that you're voting on? What's the main topic? What's the main issue that is most important for you as a voter in this next upcoming election?
I think for me, well, it's hard to say for this election because this upcoming election, it's Biden or whoever's against Biden, right?
You mean the walking zombie and whoever else is?
Exactly. That's what it feels like. It almost feels like the people felt in 2020 where it's either anyone but Trump. I feel anyone but Biden.
Really? That's interesting how the
he's really
circle
bad.
comes full circle around.
He's really bad.
Oh, no doubt.
No
doubt.
So seeing what he's done the last 2 years already, and to think that this is, I've gave you this analogy before, right? That the first 4 years of presidency, you do just enough to get reelected. The next 4 years is when you really try to enact your policies.
Yeah.
So if this is what he's done in his try to get reelected stage, you can only imagine what he's going to do in his next 4 years.
Yeah. And actually, if I were to create a somewhat of maybe a poor metaphor there, I can see Biden burning the ships his next term because he's just like, fuck it.
Yeah.
Just like, this is my last term.
Nothing to lose.
I got reelected. Let me just continue to support the most extreme initiatives and piss everybody off.
Because a lot of policies and a lot of the direction, especially social policies of the country, I mean, I think a lot of people are concerned.
So on a grade of 1 to 10, how would you rate Biden?
I think he's the worst president I've ever in my lifetime.
I agree.
Yeah, I think it'd be hard to name someone worse.
And I'll tell you the reason why I think that. I think he doesn't actually do anything.
I don't think so.
Like truly. Like, I truly believe that this country, and conspiracy theorists, whatever, fuck off. I think if you have any semblance of a brain, you have to consider the idea that our country is literally run by the puppet masters, by the shadow, by the people behind the veil. Because there's no way that Biden is actually doing anything. And if it was up to Fox News, which continues to remind us of this, he's been on vacation like 333 days or something around there over the last 600 days.
Working from home.
Yeah, working from home. Probably just fucking napping is probably what he's doing.
I mean, he doesn't talk to anybody. He doesn't come out to public. He doesn't answer questions.
Except if he wants to eat ice cream, though.
Correct. In which case, everyone's like, what's your favorite ice cream flavor, And people, they fawn over it. It's bad.
What do you think was the best question? Not that a lot of the questions were great, but what do you think the best question that was fielded to DeSantis
I think the most important question and the best question was not even asked, which is why I think the whole thing was bullshit. There's only one question that Republicans want to know from DeSantis. Only one. Can you beat Trump?
Oh.
How are you going to beat Trump? Can you beat Trump? Do you think you could beat Trump?
Oh.
To not even bring up that topic shows how bullshit the whole thing is. Because if you have no chance in beating Trump, why are we wasting your time?
So
they didn't even touch it.
That's such a good question, too.
That's how you know the whole thing was just fucking propaganda. And that pisses me off. Because, the GOP, the conservatives, Republicans are like, fuck the propaganda, this. And then they had their one opportunity to show that they're different, to show the world, to show the country that they have an opportunity to be honest, to be forthcoming about their topics, that we care about the issues. They had the opportunity. There was, 500,000 people in there?
Yeah.
And everyone's recording it, everyone's live streaming it. It's gonna touch the whole country.
Oh yeah, the supercuts and the clips that are gonna come out in the next 72 hours are gonna be DeSantis clip this, clip this, clip this. Yeah, absolutely.
And what they did with their time and what they did with the national attention was do exactly what the Democrats do, which is fucking talking points.
It was just a circle jerk.
And it was, how do you not ask? How do you say you're gonna have an uncensored, unfiltered conversation with potentially the president of the United States, and you don't ask him the one question that everybody wants to know?
Which, if I can bring up the timing, in my opinion, not that I'm some sort of expert in policy or politics for sure, or timing for that matter. But the timing to me seemed weird that this would be the moment in which DeSantis announces his, campaign to run for president. I mean, he's effectively splitting the GOP.
Yes.
And so for me, I feel like there's a dilution that's going to happen because so DeSantis is Florida. Florida has a huge contingency of MAGA Trump supporters.
Yes.
Like, how are these guys going to vote?
Have you ever seen the clip of it was at some sort of news outlet, and they go to a bar in DeSantis' hometown, and they're doing a party there, something for DeSantis' re-election of governor, and the news is there, and they're like, yeah, are you gonna vote for Trump or DeSantis, right? Because it's DeSantis' hometown.
Yeah,
this is to get people to say we're gonna vote like yes, DeSantis, and they asked like almost everyone in the bar, and everyone's like, yeah, we like DeSantis, but we're voting for Trump. We're voting for Trump. This is in his hometown. This is his people. And everyone, 100% of the people are like, yeah, we like DeSantis, but Trump's our guy.
Why do you think that is?
Because Trump's our guy. I think DeSantis is popular because of Trump.
Well, didn't Trump help DeSantis get in to be?
He was barely winning. He was losing the original governor's election.
Yeah.
4.5.
I think
5 years ago.
Trump. We might have checked the history logs on this one, but I believe Trump was actually the reason why DeSantis won.
Correct.
Because he said a couple good things or promoted him or supported
Endorsed
him.
him.
Endorsed him. Yeah, these types of things. So I feel like DeSantis almost owes the man, Trump, for the fact that he's actually in the position that he is right now.
And he did not say one thing about Trump during this, which is kind of a pussy move.
Trump is going to be his opponent.
Yeah.
I mean, not that we want to get directly into mudslinging, which is generally how it is, but there needs to be a little bit of a kind of friction there, right?
So can we put our tin caps on real quick?
Absolutely.
Can we just put them on real quick?
No. Where's that?
Oh, that works too. That works too. So if you are a shadow government person lurking in the shadows, and you do not want Trump to win,
which I think just side comment, I think the lurkers in the shadows, when Trump got elected, it fucked up their game.
Their plan.
I think Trump, now conspiracy hats are on, guys.
Yeah.
Like, I truly believe that Trump was not part of the global plan.
He was unexpected. He was not supposed to win that election.
No way he was supposed to win that election.
Hillary was supposed to win that election.
They took 4 years to ensure that he wouldn't win it again.
Correct. So if their goal is to make sure this guy doesn't win again, because he is throwing a wrench into their plans, what do? You prop up a guy to create divisiveness in the party. Why else would DeSantis run at this time when he's so far behind the polls?
Yes, he is.
And people and all these media heads and all these big donors and tech donors and bank donors are like, no, DeSantis is our guy, which is really weird.
Right. Well, whenever you have banker money behind you, then the game's changed.
The ones that want the new bank bailouts, these guys are behind DeSantis. And did you see in Jacksonville, Florida, biggest city in Florida?
Yeah, I used to live there.
Largest population of Florida.
Duval, for those who are in Jacksonville.
They had recently had a mayoral race.
Oh, did they?
The new mayor of Jacksonville, Florida, in the largest city in Florida, is now a Democrat.
Oh, really?
Yes.
I didn't know that.
Yeah.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Interesting. Why you guys got a Duval? Why y'all got to vote that way, man? You want to make yourself another blue city where all we see are video clips of people beating each other and pulling each other out of cars? Come on now.
DeSantis did not help them campaign.
Ooh.
He was busy doing this stuff. Drop the ball.
This is Florida's his state.
How do you lose the biggest city?
Looks like, having these small anecdotes kind of adds color to the picture. You brought up a really intriguing point to me, and which really, frankly, from the political lens, you actually changed my life. If just in that political world, because you said DeSantis is not rich, and that is that is a risk exposure for him. That's a problem, because since he's not independently wealthy, he will always be beholden to his donors,
like David Sachs,
and big banks. Right? Let's be honest, Matt. If a big Wells Fargo or J.P. Morgan Chase came up to you and said, "Hey, I'm going to drop millions of dollars," are you guys say no?
Give me the money.
Yeah. If it's still green, I'll take it, baby.
Give it to me.
I'll take the money. So that I've never heard that comment before, and it's okay. I'm still learning here. But when you said that, podcasts ago, it really changed my narrative around looking at politicians, because I never you just one of those facets of politicians you don't think about. But I think you're absolutely spot on. If you're a poor politician and some big banker guy or some big donor guy that might be morally or ethically off color to what you care about, but he's got in front of you a blank check, are you going to say no? Come on. You're going to be like, yes, Amasa. Yes, Amasa. Please more. Please more, Massa. Right? You're gonna take the money. And if they ping you on text message or DM, Twitter DM, and say, "Hey, bro, I don't like it when you say stuff like that." Are you gonna pull back? Probably. You're right. If he's saying, "Hey, I don't like you saying that shit," or "Hey, man, you probably shouldn't support that guy," or "Don't go there. Don't go to that rally. Don't do." Like, you're not gonna say no to that.
So something else interesting happened with DeSantis in the last week. And this one really, I think it's really weird, really kind of rubbed me the wrong way. And the whole country, I feel like, is just missing the point of this. Just totally blindsided, no clue what's going on. And it's so obvious, to me at least. He recently passed a bill in Florida where the Chinese cannot purchase farmland in Florida.
I heard about this.
Anyone associated with the CCP cannot buy farmland in Florida and cannot buy land within 10 miles of a military base. Number one. That's the headline of the bill. He came out, did his speech on the podium and said, "Stop CCP" on it.
Yeah, that's right. That's the clip I saw.
That's the clip you saw. That's what everyone sees. Hidden in the fine print of the bill, which is not, I looked on his webpage where they introduced the bill, it's not even on there. On the bill is Chinese nationals that don't have legal residence in the United States cannot buy houses in Florida. And everyone's like, "Oh yeah, the Chinese, their CCP is buying up all the houses." That's a narrative, right? Good for Ron. He is stopping the Chinese from buying. Yeah. I do a lot of business with the Chinese.
I know.
How Chinese actual businessmen think is, I don't want to leave my money all in China.
Of course not.
Because at any given moment, at the push of a button, China can take it all away from me.
100%.
I can go from gajillionaire to zero like that.
You got it.
That's what happens when you're all in a digital currency.
Oh, yeah.
Gone. Every Chinese businessman knows that. So you figure out ways through different companies, different ways, and you buy houses in the United States.
Yes.
Number one reason they do that is not for to make money, not to make profit. They don't fucking care at all if the property they buy makes money.
It's not even a tax shelter for them.
No, they are hiding and holding their money here so that if shit hits the fan in China, they have money left over for not even themselves, for maybe their future generations. This is their retirement oh shit plan.
You got it.
That's why they buy them.
100.
Americans think, oh, Chinese businessmen are in cahoots with the CCP. So if they buy the houses, the CCP is buying the houses. It's not like that at all.
It doesn't work like that.
The Chinese businessmen are scared shitless of the CCP. They serve the CCP because they have to. Otherwise, they wouldn't be in business.
They wouldn't.
The only way for them to protect themselves personally is to buy houses in U.S., in South America, in Mexico, in Vancouver, in Toronto. That's why
Canada, I heard, is growing. There are a lot of Chinese are putting.
They're starting to crack down on it too.
Oh, okay.
So all Ron DeSantis did was do China and the Chinese CCP a solid, because now all these businessmen that were parking their money in Miami, now they cannot.
Yeah, they got to they got to exit.
Exactly.
Interesting.
So all the money that they've been figuring out how to bring here, now they can't do it. At least there's one less place to go.
Interesting. So would you say that this is a detriment to Ron DeSantis's legacy or his viability as a governor from the Chinese people and the Chinese group, the Chinese nationals? Do you think that's going to hurt his election at all?
So I have two thoughts.
I wonder how big is the Chinese contingency in Florida?
I don't think the Chinese contingent. This is for non-resident Chinese that can't buy. A lot of Chinese just buy condos in Florida and don't even occupy them.
Understood.
Empty condos where they just park their money, right? A lot of these, and they pay the monthly maintenance fee. They lose money just to keep their money there.
That's crazy.
That's how scared
It's like
they are.
having a Bank of America account. You don't have enough money in here. We're gonna take $50 from you. It's like, the fuck? I don't have enough money here. Why are you taking more money from me, Bank of America? What the fuck?
They're just parking money.
Shit.
And so I have two thoughts on that. Either A, Ron DeSantis is not competent enough to understand that because he's like, oh, I did this great thing. No, you actually helped out the other side. Or B, he made a deal with them to make this happen.
Ooh, conspiracy hats back on.
Why else? Why else would you help them out? Because I don't think there was a huge amount of CCP going throughout Florida buying up land next to their military bases. It just wasn't a thing.
Yeah.
But that makes a great headline.
It does.
All of a sudden, it's good fare. We'll say to you that you cannot buy our land near the military base, which you're not buying anyway, but it helps me out. We'll help you out, but making sure your nationals can't park their money in this state.
I understand. It's all optics. It's all optics.
Good deal.
Now, I wonder, keeping the conspiracy hat on, because I've read as of recent, just this week, in just the last literally 7 days, that new information has come out that Biden and the Biden crime family have been deeply enriched by CCP money through political donations. And I find this to be, people can argue with me if they want, but I find this, what I'm about to say, this statement to be true, is that the Democrats typically project exactly the shit that they're doing onto other people. So I wonder, considering the news cycle, that a lot of this shit has come out that Chinese nationals, or maybe the CCP, who knows, people from China have been supporting over the years the Biden crime family. And now that DeSantis is coming out with this China stuff, I wonder if it's just one of those deflections where it's focusing on DeSantis instead of the real issue that we have a sitting president who's literally been compromised.
Either that or they're just all fucking compromised.
Maybe that's the truth. Maybe they're all just... Well, if there is the shadow, if there are the men and the women behind the curtain controlling things, then maybe it just is the fact that it's all compromised. The entire system's just fucked.
Because if you're Ron DeSantis and your goal is to be president, why would you go against Trump now?
Man.
You're going to end up Jeb Bush, the forgotten guy that just gets crushed in the primary and you never see him again.
Jeb Bush's son went to school with me in Jacksonville, Florida.
Okay. Democratic Jacksonville, Florida.
Now. And I don't mind saying this. If there's anyone that went to my high school 20 years ago, I don't mind saying this, but Jeb Bush's son was a fucking retard. and Jeb Bush's son, by the way, is like, I think, half Mexican.
Really? Interesting.
Yeah, I forget how that happened. I don't know if it was like an Arnold Schwarzenegger, kind of hanging out with the maid long term, but he was definitely not white. His son was kind of like half Mexican, half white, and curly hair and all.
I wonder if he still has a last name or they made him take it.
But yeah, Jeb Bush was the Bush that didn't actually get anywhere in life.
Correct, because he went up against Trump, got crushed, and no one ever even speaks his name anymore.
Now there was
oblivion.
Yes, complete oblivion. There was one point that we were talking about digital currency and the Chinese businessmen, which is 100% true. I don't think most people in America truly realize the authoritarian regime that the CCP truly is.
Correct.
You know deeper than I do. I have investors from China and Korea and Japan, and I'm always being fielded with Chinese investors like, Peter, how can I get money out of here?
Yes.
Right? Can you move money for me? It's like, no, I'm not doing that because I want to have a life and I don't want to be in jail. We can do things legally. But I know that there's such soul-crushing constraints on businessmen out in China that they're always looking for ways out because their money can literally be drained because it's all digital.
They live in fear.
They live in fear. So all that context to say, I will say I was proud. Maybe it's a talking point, but I was proud of DeSantis. Maybe that's too strong of a word. I was encouraged by DeSantis with his stance on CBDCs.
So I heard that, and I thought that was interesting because he said specifically he would not allow it.
Yes. So for those that are listening, CBDCs are central bank digital currencies, which essentially long tail means that cash is going to go away and all of your money is going to literally be online, digital format only, which if you think about that and go to a Black Mirror extreme is if all your money and all your assets are digital, then someone who has the controls and the buttons could suddenly turn you off or say, you know what, you're not allowed to spend your money in this place. And that's the scary part about the extreme Black Mirror version of CBDCs.
So that's assuming that by the time, if or when he gets elected, that it doesn't already exist.
Oh, by the way, it already exists.
Exactly. I went deep down the PenFed rabbit hole in the last couple of days. So last year, Joe Biden had an executive order to have all of the major, all the Department of Justice, Department of State, Department of Banking, Finance, literally all the department heads were tasked to go down this rabbit hole and figure this out. If you go on the Federal Reserve page, they already are rolling out parts of it.
Yeah, FedCoin.
Yes, it is a thing. So DeSantis says we're not going to allow it, but if they're able to successfully roll it out and get people involved in it, how do you take it back? It's so easy to say when you're talking about 3 years out. From my estimates, we may be moving towards it, and parts of that system will be live by July 1st.
No doubt. So
then does it even mean anything? Because he's not going to go backwards.
Well,
how do you go back on banking?
I think we can unpack this a little bit. Number one, I'm in agreement with you. The Fed, the Federal Reserve, has already created this system. Has already created the CBD system.
Correct.
FedCoin, where everything's going to be digital. They've taken extremely good notes from China and how China has rolled it out. Now, the thing that is most interesting to me about whether it's actually going to be rolled out or not is we currently live in a world today where we have a use case happening. Nigeria. You heard about Nigeria?
Yes.
They got rid of certain bills. They said literally a couple months ago, you guys can look it up. We're all moving to digital currencies, and your paper cash is worth nothing anymore. And you turn in your cash for this new digital currency. In the beginning, the reports were like less than 1% of people converting because they're like, fuck off. Like, my cash is king. I don't agree with this. But then they started starving people. And they started saying, well, you don't have money. We only accept it here at the supermarket. We only accept this new national currency here. You can't get the services you want. And now I think, Will, I'd love for you to check this out. I don't want to get my numbers too off, but I think they're up to like 30% adoption rate. It's a scary proposition, Matt, because I don't think Americans really are in a world where they can accept this potential reality. Is that if they truly migrate all your money over to central bank digital currencies, and you say to them, fuck off, maybe DeSantis says, fuck off, I'm not going to allow it. It doesn't fucking matter,
Doesn't matter anymore.
Because if the government starts adding pressure to these industries, these companies, these markets, and saying, you shall only use this, and these companies comply, then those companies that are in Florida, they're going to have to be complicit to it. And whether you're under DeSantis's rule or not, if you want to go to Target, you want to go to Walmart, you want to go to Publix or Wegmans or Kroger, and they're not accepting of your cash or your credit card, you're going to starve, bro. Conversion's going to happen.
I did see. I think. Can you confirm this for me, Will? I did see.
Oh, so
0.5%. No one's doing
E-NARA
this, though.
adoption is 0.5% of the population. So it's still at
Rejecting. Look this up. I read that India has just announced that they are telling their citizens to turn in their highest currency.
We live in crazy times. Man.
India. This is a big one.
Yeah.
It's not Nigeria. It's not Ecuador. I mean, you're talking India.
India's bigger than China.
Yeah. Look that up. I think that happened today or yesterday.
Ooh. Wow.
So it's interesting that all of this is happening at the same time.
Well, if we had our tinfoil hats on, we would say that the men behind the curtain are creating this mass movement into digital currencies and not the good ones.
So can we put on a second tin hat?
Sure, we're getting heavy here, guys. We got
Big fat tin
hats on today.
We know that Klaus Schwab and the World Economic Forum is behind a lot of movement towards CBDC.
No, yes, for sure.
We also know that Elon just hired someone from the World Economic Forum. I'm just throwing random darts. We know
that's all.
he hired someone from the WEF to become. No, that's 2016, buddy. We know that Elon just hired someone from the WEF, and then he just endorsed maybe the rhinoest candidate of them all in Ron DeSantis. We know that one of the biggest fears is chips in our brains and AI controlling us. We know that he took control of Twitter, the digital town square. We know he's working on his own AI. We know that he has Neuralink in the works.
Yes.
It's not very difficult to connect those dots.
And Elon Musk, in his own admission, has talked about Neuralink and AI and being far a greater danger than nuclear warheads.
Correct. So you throw it all out there.
Are we just racing
you mix it all up
towards the fucking Armageddon? Is that what we're doing?
And I love Elon. I'm a huge Elon fan.
I'm a huge Elon fan too.
But if I had 3 conspiracy hats on and I were to take all these things and throw it on a board and do one of those like FBI, like crime scene things and start drawing lines, I'll go to Elon. Just saying.
You wouldn't be wrong here, Matt. And I think you're touching on something because there is this known model. It's called controlled opposition.
Oh, there you go. Indian banks start exchanging withdrawn 2,000 rupee notes.
So they're removing. Is this like a $20 bill? Yeah, it's like the $20 bill essentially. $20. Indians are exchanging the 2,000 rupee, or about $20 at banks as the country aims to withdraw the currency from circulation. The note was introduced in 2016 after the Indian government withdrew 500 and 1,000 rupee notes. PM Narendra Modi's decision was seen as an attempt to curb black money, but opposition parties said it has failed to achieve its goals. The notes can be exchanged until 30th of September. This is a scary thing that's happening, in my opinion, because money is the means of transaction. Money is the means in which business and life happens. Money is the means in which you can live, you can work, you can thrive, you can create, you can build. Money is the mechanism of exchange globally. Whoever controls the money controls the people. And that is a scary proposition, especially as we're removing optionality. Like if you and I, this might actually happen in our lifetime, which I'm going to just put my finger up in the air and say, I call it, motherfucker. We might see a time where the U.S. government might say, no more $5.
Yeah.
No more $20 bills.
I mean,
frankly, we don't have any need for $50 bills.
I mean, the conspiracy side of CBDC says that we'll have no money, everything will be digital, and they'll just be able to shut it off.
Well, actually, if we go by the World Economic Forum, I think they said you will own nothing and you will be happy. Isn't that what they said?
I believe that's a quote.
Yeah, look it up, Will. I think the WEF said, and Klaus Schwab and his minions said something to the effect of, in the future, you will own nothing and be happy. Matt, hot take. You will own nothing and be happy. Your thoughts? What does that mean to you?
It's not crazy. If we have our 3 conspiracy...
Now we just have a big schlong on our head.
If we got a big conspiracy schlong on our head, everything that's happening in our world since 2016 to now, it all makes sense. If you have that hat on.
Fact check. The World Economic does not have a stated goal to have people own nothing by.
Has been sharing, go down. by 2030 you'll own nothing and be happy. His question is how to get to this point. So they're saying that it's not a stated goal, but they did say it.
They did say it.
Yeah. It's such a weird way to put that article.
That's the bullshit propaganda that we see in news articles today, where the news article will say something completely non-contextual to what, like the title will say, white man kills black man, and then you actually read the article, which no one fucking reads. You'll find that the white man was actually Mexican, or he was actually Indian. Did you see the news thing recently about the Indian guy who ran into the DC
with the swastika?
Get the fuck out of here, bro!
So this
get the fuck out of here,
for
bro.
people. Can we find the picture of the guy? A white supremacist tried to take his rented U-Haul, go into the gates. And he specifically told investigators after the fact that his goal was to break into the White House, kill the president, and take control of the country. That's what he said. They charged him with a bunch of those types of crimes, and he got let go for, I think, damage to property.
Damage to property. And the Photoshop job of this Indian man who has a deep Indian name. His name was not even close. Yeah. To a white name. But the Photoshop jobs that I saw was that they lightened his skin up.
Yeah.
Like this is nuts, people. We live in a world, we know the news is lying to us. We know it's propaganda. George Orwell wrote us a future history book saying this shit's going to happen. But we literally live in a world where the thing that shocked me the most a couple years back was when Joe Rogan was talking about COVID. Do you remember this? He was talking about he got COVID. He went immediately to his multi-million-dollar network and said, what do I need to do to kill this thing? And what do? They put him on a program with ivermectin, all these other things, and he basically crushed COVID in like a day, something like this. But of course, CNN has the picture of Joe Rogan talking about taking horse pills or something like that. Horse dewormer. And they photoshopped his picture so he looked like he was ridiculously sick. Do you remember that shit?
They put a yellow filter on it.
Yeah. So this is the guy.
This is a white supremacist, by the way, with a Nazi flag, swastika in his car. So for guys who are like, this doesn't make any sense, and like this is not a false flag, because our conspiracy hats say it's a false flag, right? People who say they don't. A little bit of logic. If someone tries to break into the White House with a car, and the police get him.
Keep this picture up. Keep this picture up, because we're going to talk about this more.
And their only piece of evidence, there's three pieces of evidence. There's the culprit, the guy. There's the car. And inside the car, there's one piece of evidence, which is a flag.
Yeah.
If you retain the flag and he was trying to assassinate the president, what do you do with that flag? You take it as evidence. You're as careful as possible with it, right? Because you gotta make sure there's no chemicals on it. You gotta score it for DNA. Who else touched this flag? Who else was around it? You treat this flag like it's the most important piece of evidence you've ever seen in your life. Why? Because they were trying to assassinate the president.
Yeah.
What did they do with it? They put it on the fucking floor. It doesn't make any sense.
This is why we have to abolish the CIA and the FBI. Because those 2 3-letter agencies literally cause every single problem in America. This guy was an FBI or CIA patsy. That's what he was. He's a patsy.
If you had someone break into your house with a knife and the cops come in and they find the knife, it's the equivalent of them washing it as soon as they walk in.
Yeah.
It doesn't make any sense.
Doesn't fucking make any sense.
You put on your gloves, you put it in the bag, and you take it as evidence.
Exactly.
We all know that's what's supposed to happen.
You don't fucking do a crime and then take the flag out and put it on the ground for photo ops.
No, it doesn't make any fucking sense.
It's kind of like all the CNN videos of all the dead bodies in Ukraine, and when they scan over the dead bodies, you see guys go like this. They're like waking up, looking out of their body bags, and they're like, oh shit. Like, come on, get the fuck out of here, bro. I'm so tired of the propaganda machine, Matt. I'm so tired of it. And the reason is because you and I are awake. There are millions, tens of millions of Americans who literally believe that shit's true.
Tens of millions is way too low of a number.
We have, what, 330 million people in America.
You're talking hundreds of millions.
That's just
Hundreds of
fucking
millions.
depressing. Like, so let's just split it down the middle.
People who think like you and I,
150
we
million?
are the smallest of minority of
Jeez,
people.
come on.
And we talk about this regularly. To us, this seems like common knowledge, right? We've already accepted that the media is lying to us.
Are we our own echo chamber? Is that
We
what it
are
is?
our own echo chamber. This
Fuck.
is it. Because no one else out there is like, bro, these guys are fucking nuts. That's what I've learned in the last few days. That we are the crazy ones.
I've actually, just let me cut you off for a second. I've actually had random people comment and saying that you and I are just talking out of our asses.
We are fucking crazy.
Yeah, we're crazy. We're just making shit up.
Yeah.
We,
It doesn't make any sense.
well, I think for all of you guys out there, you tell me, leave a comment below or join the Discord, smash the like button. You tell me if this is a white person.
Well, this is the second time this has happened in the last couple of months.
Yeah, we have the Mexican.
We had the Mexican white supremacist that did the shootings in Texas, in Dallas. Mm-hmm. And that guy was apparently posting.
Look at this guy's name. Sai Varsith Kandula. Like, you couldn't get farther from a Jack Smith.
He was charged with threatening to kill, kidnap, or inflict harm on a president. This is a fucking big crime.
Yeah.
Good luck. You put this flag on the fucking floor when it's the only piece of evidence you have, and they've convicted, and they were charging him with attempting to murder the president. That doesn't make any fucking sense in any world. So anyone says, no, like, bro, fuck off. That makes no sense.
Fuck off.
None.
There's no...
None.
mean, so this guy crashed this shit in there and was cognizant enough to be like, you know what? I'm going to let everybody know. Let me get out the flag out of the back. I have enough time. Clearly, no one's rushing to arrest me.
This is not the White House gate.
I got plenty of time here. Let me
There's
just
not
open
cameras
up
everywhere.
Let me just open up the back of this U-Haul truck and neatly display the Nazi flag.
No, I think they found the flag in the back of the car because that's the only thing he had with him. And then the cops took it out of the car, and then they physically opened it and put it on the floor.
Wait, it's still evidence.
The caption says it's reportedly exited the front seat, started waving a red swastika emblazoned flag after the vehicle crashed.
That's fucking nuts. Where's the video of this? Where's the video
Come
of
on,
this?
DC. It's kind of like
Outside the White
It's
House.
kind of like 9/11, right? We have all these cameras on the Pentagon, but we have no video of this plane crashing into the Pentagon in 9/11. Zero evidence. Like, come, this is the fucking White House. I bet there's at least 50 cameras pointed at this shit.
Oh, yeah,
right here.
for sure.
So where's the video? Get the fuck out of here with this staged shit. Like,
This is just
it's
crazy.
it's just fuck.
And we had the white supremacist militia marching.
Which nobody followed because there was no Antifa, there was no Black Lives Matter, there was no.
Can we get pictures of the white supremacist militia march?
Yeah, and the memes were amazing. The memes were like, yeah, you guys are feds.
Yeah.
Fuck off.
Yeah.
You guys are all feds. Like, no one dresses.
Well, get
all
the one
same.
of them arrested.
Yeah. And, oh, yeah. And when you arrest someone, you never take off their mask. You just leave that shit on there. You leave the bandana on there because you don't want to know who he actually is.
It's like watching, like, when someone finally gets Batman, and for some reason they don't pull the mask.
Exactly.
Or you somehow got Spider-Man, but you don't pull it off.
Exactly. If come on, guys, how many of you guys have watched a Batman or a Spider-Man or a Superman or any type of
Spider-Man doesn't wear a mask.
Yeah, Superman doesn't wear a mask. But any type of superhero thing where the superhero with the mask gets caught by the bad guy, and what does the bad guy do? Two things. Number one, he doesn't pull off the mask to find out the identity, and he fucking solo narrates and goes into the
His whole master plan.
Yeah, his narrative of his entire master plan as to how he's going to take over the fucking world. That's the fucking clown fiesta that we have in the feds today, man.
And people are out there going, yeah, man, that guy tried to kill everyone. Like, seriously?
So you kind of depressed me a little bit here, Matt, because I was thinking that it was tens of millions. You're saying that
Hundreds of millions.
There's only 330 million people in America.
Correct. And I'm going to say good majority, over 150 million people.
That's fucking depressing, bro.
180.
Which
there's no way for me to quantify it
yeah,
intelligently, right?
it's impossible. Let's just say 150. Just split it. Let's split it even. We'll give the conservatives
They
a little bit more.
fucking believe everything. they're told.
Golly,
Everything.
why do you think that is, Matt? That's really disappointing.
I
mean, it's really disappointing. It kind of
just-
makes my faith in humanity go down a little bit.
I think part of it is just subconscious. You don't want to know.
Ooh.
You just don't. Life is easier if you just accept reality as what it is.
So the whole ignorance is bliss is truly a true statement.
That's exactly what it is. Your brain does not even allow you. And then you're fed all these little microdoses from propaganda, from your phone, from your TV, from your neighbor, from the news, from this. And all of a sudden, like, you have enough to gather up and your brain just automatically puts it together and says everything outside of this narrative is automatically false and just blocks it out.
True cognitive dissonance.
True programmed.
Yeah, truly programmed. Here, I feel like I asked you this question before, but it's never a bad question to ask again because I'm genuinely curious. What woke you up?
COVID.
I did. Now I remember. Yeah, but
Definitely
explain more. How did COVID wake you up from the distilled ignorance that you were in?
Well,
you weren't true. We had conversations before COVID. You weren't truly ignorant. You were You were more of a skeptic.
I was skeptical.
Yeah.
I just didn't care that much.
So what made you care?
Just the lies, man. Once you've realized that they were telling you that we're all gonna die and we weren't, and it's one thing if they genuinely believed it and they were wrong. I can accept that. But once you realize that they knowingly lied to you, that they were all in on this together, from the government to the military to the fucking doctors to the fucking all the 3-letter agencies to the CDC, which we're supposed to trust, who's supposed to be unbiased, who's supposed to be there to help center of disease control.
Yeah.
They were all fucking lying.
And unfortunately, day by day, the new disclosures and the new reports are not making it any better.
No.
Because all the disclosures and all the new reports are showing that they all fucking knew.
And there is a huge segment of the population of this country that do not want to know that. They do not want to know that they were duped.
Don't wake me up from the nightmare.
No, this is too much to handle. Their fucking brains can't handle it. I don't want to know the truth. I don't care that there's thousands of doctors saying otherwise. I don't care that there are thousands of cases of people saying otherwise. We don't care that there are entire countries saying that they've learned this through their population. They don't care that accredited virologists and immunologists,
Yes, immunologists.
they don't care that there is an entire community of accredited people that are saying this was bullshit.
And the community is actually larger than the experts.
All those people block them out. I just want to know what I want to believe.
Yeah,
Because if I know more, then I got to deal with it.
yeah, and frankly, all I really care about is LeBron James right now and what the Kardashians are doing.
Give me more Netflix.
Yeah.
That's it. You know?
So you got tired. I remember now that we talked about this before, but it's always good to bring up because everyone has a different waking up moment. So for you, it was COVID. And the reason is you just got sick and tired of them lying to you because you started seeing the conflicting narratives, conflicting evidence, conflicting reports. But did you boil up to that? Or was it just this moment of just like, fuck, I've had a veil over my face for so long. Was it a progressive kind of elaboration or a progressive discovery, or is it just one of those moments where you sat down and you self-talk to yourself and you're like, what the fuck is going on?
Well, I think you start losing distrust in the media when they said, if you vote for Trump, you're a racist. And I'm like, wait a second. Am I?
Well, actually, according to 2 podcasts ago, he is a admitted racist.
But I'm like, do I hate people? I'm like, I don't think I do. I think I'm like pretty accepting person.
Yeah.
You know, I'm really diverse in my community and network of people that I associate with. I try not to hang out with losers and try to hang out with winners. But outside of that, I don't think I base anyone based on their ideology or their beliefs or where they're from. More that, are you a loser or you're not a loser? I think that's a pretty good line.
I think it's a pretty good rubric.
But they're like, you're a racist. And I was like, I don't think I am. You know what I'm saying? But you had to stop and think, like, maybe I am. Like, but they keep on telling me that. You know? And then they're like, we're all gonna die. Look at all these numbers of dying. And I'm like, okay. And I'm looking around, I'm like, I feel like everyone's still here.
Yeah.
And like, no, like maybe not you, but outside. I'm like, okay. No, like it's pretty packed. There's a lot of people out there.
Yeah.
You know? I was like, this is bullshit.
Yeah. I get it.
How can you tell me that all this is happening? And I'm looking, and then I remember I tried to go play golf this one time. And I talked about this. We did a golf episode in the morning. I talked about this. I went to play golf one time, and we were at this golf course, and we had to rent a cart. And in the cart, they had a shower curtain.
Get the fuck out of here.
So
dude.
if you're sitting here and the other person is sitting next to you, they had a shower curtain between you two. You're outside, and you had to have a shower curtain. And I was sitting in this cart thinking, this is the dumbest thing I've ever sat in my life. I am literally the clown sitting in the clown car.
Yeah.
And then I was like, fuck this. This is so stupid.
There's a meme account on Twitter that absolutely makes me just laugh out loud, roll on the floor fucking laughing. It's his Twitter account that just focuses on all the bullshit of the lockdown and COVID. And almost every single meme that he throws up on Twitter is essentially states this. Do you remember that time when the science told us that by disallowing your kids to play on the playground, they would remove this respiratory virus? And it's a picture of these kids who can't play on the fucking playground. And then another tweet is, do you remember the time when they said that the only way to kill this respiratory virus is you had to put up plastic shields at Whole Foods? And it's the entire Twitter account are these fucking jokes. I remember this funny one. He said, it was a picture of a swimmer, all these white swimmers in the pool with fucking masks on. And of course, the title was, do you remember the time when they told us that you would flatten the curve by wearing a mask in the pool? It's like,
I think
how many times are you gonna be a dumbass?
the biggest absolute moment, and other than the Obama party, because I've talked about the Obama party, other than King Obama's birthday party,
Where all the slaves had to wear masks and all
the
the rich
summer
people.
of 2020, Trump was trying to do his rallies, and they kept on calling a fucking super spreader event. Remember that? Trump's super spreader event. He's killing everyone. He don't care about people. Look at him. He's the devil because he's gonna kill everyone because he's having these rallies and people are showing up and they're all gonna die.
Yep.
And then people went out to do these BLM riots, and they're like, good for them.
Yes.
Good for you. Can't get COVID and die from a riot, but you can get it from being in a rally.
Well, you forgot, Matt, that COVID only affects conservatives. And it doesn't affect liberals or trans or activists. That's what you forgot. You forgot. The
except-
activists are all immune.
Those are the cities that did the worst in COVID.
Of course, yeah. They're the ones who literally hold up people and let them starve or put them on ventilators and actually killed them and did all this shit. Yeah.
So a common thing that I hear the internet liberals say is that, how can you support Trump when all these people died of COVID during his presidency?
Golly.
And if you think about it, it makes sense. In where they live, that actually happened.
Yes.
Where they live in LA, where they live in New York, where they live in Chicago, people actually did die.
Yes.
It's because they were locked in,
Yeah.
but they don't think that far ahead, right? They don't realize the policies that led them to go that way.
Yeah.
People in the South, people in the Southeast specifically, did fucking fine.
Exactly.
We lived outside.
Well, that's because, yes, and also, and I might be stretching here, but I have, and people might not like what I'm about to say, but it is what it is. I have a general disdain for city dwellers. And the reason why I have a general disdain for city dwellers is in my rubbing shoulders with city dwellers, I have found that most city dwellers have this mental model where they believe that their experience can be exported to the rest of the country. That the shit that's happening to them in the heart of New York or heart of Chicago or the heart of LA or San Francisco is totally happening all the way out in South Dakota, all the way happening out in the fucking middle of nowhere, Jacksonville, Florida, happening in fucking Gwinnett County, Georgia. You say they're not looking to the future. I'd say it differently. They don't look outside the half a mile radius that they live in the city.
I think Similar, slightly different. I think that they think because they are better, because they live in the cities,
better.
because they understand culture and society better, and we live in the country, so we're stupid and we don't understand as much because of these facts for them that their way of life should be adopted by us because we are not as smart as they are. We are in the country. We are kind of hicks. Yeah. So why would we not follow the lead of the more civilized society?
That's even more insidious because that's a class issue. They think they're better than us.
Because they live in traffic. They live in tiny apartments.
They love smog.
Like, I love it here. Early in the day when we did the pod, Deanna asked me, she said, where would you like to live if you could live anywhere? And I said, if I had unlimited money, fuck you money, and I can live anywhere in the world that I wanted, I would stay exactly where I'm at.
Fuck yeah.
Nowhere else.
Yeah. Do you have a sound for that? Fuck yeah.
There's nowhere else I'd rather be.
I like this answer.
I love it here.
Georgia's the fucking best.
Yeah. People are awesome. People are friendly. People think, oh, you live in Georgia. People are so racist. No, not at all.
Get the fuck
That's
out
the dumbest thing ever. People are racist in the fucking cities.
Bro.
People are racist in fucking LA and New York.
Bro.
Right? People of Georgia are so awesome.
Say
so
less.
amazing. The weather here is fantastic. The housing is affordable. Cost of living is totally manageable.
Roads are better than the cities.
Roads are better. Food is getting better. We have everything that we need here. I never think, oh, I wish I had something else. It never crossed my mind.
It's interesting you say that.
You could literally give me a billion gajillion Elon Musk dollars. I would stay right here.
Dogecoin.
Yeah. I would stay right where I'm at.
And you've traveled the world like me.
Yeah.
So you've seen all the big cities.
I've been to like every major city in America. I've been to probably 20 different countries. There is no place I'd rather be.
I agree.
And I don't think there are a lot of people that are listening that live where they live that think the same. Right? How many people truly believe that where they live is the best? Everyone that lives, especially if you live in a Democratic area, you're always thinking, damn, maybe I should move.
You know, that's interesting you bring that up.
Maybe it's better over there. Or maybe I should try here.
Well, if you look at the massive exodus that's happening on the West Coast, including Seattle, Oregon, obviously California, that the numbers speak for themselves.
And maybe you don't make the move, but at some point on a regular, consistent basis, you go, maybe I should. I never have that thought. I love it here. And if that shows anything about how your way of life is versus my way of life, like, fuck, we win. Because people here want to stay here.
Exactly.
No interest in leaving.
It's interesting you say that because it's almost like a misery loves company type of deal. Like you're miserable in the heart of New York City and you just want to make sure that everybody else is fucking miserable too. And so you'll either export or project your misery on everyone else and the policies that you think are, that are happening in your city and you project it on everyone else. Or you're just salty and pissed off that you can't move and you want to commiserate, or if you can move, then you end up moving to Austin or Dallas or fucking Atlanta, and then you bring your shitty mental models over here and you make things worse over here.
You forgot why you left.
That's the right way to put it. You forgot why you fucking left. And so now it is all cushy and it's better out here in Georgia than it is out in San Francisco. You feel comfortable because you can finally feel liberated to be truly who you are, and who you really are is still a degenerate.
And I think that a part of living in because when I first moved here from New York, when I got here, I was like, I'm from New York. You guys are Georgia.
That ego.
You guys are Southerners. I kind of know better.
Yeah.
I know more. I've lived more life.
I got something to say. Yeah.
And I feel like it. You feel that way. It's almost like when you have a Lamborghini and you drive around and you go somewhere and you're like, yeah, I'm the guy with Lamborghini. You feel that way. It doesn't even mean anything, but you kind of have that feel. That's what big city people feel when they come to Georgia. And they bring it with them. But the longer you stay, you're like, I like it here.
You kind of wake up.
Yeah.
Yeah. As Lamborghini owners, I can totally resonate with that. There is an ego that goes along with it, and you want to stay humble, right? You want to stay humble, but at the same time, like, let's be honest, you and I have definitely taken advantage of that status.
Of course. Just park it fucking anywhere.
And they're not going to touch it.
No.
Like one of the best advantages of owning an exotic supercar is your chances of not paying for valet are really high, right? Because I would just go up to an hotel and be like, bro, I like you, but I don't trust you. Is it cool if I just, park it out front? And they're always just like, bro, all good. Just give me the keys in case I need to move it. They never fucking move it, right?
But the time that they don't treat you special,
yeah, then you get pissy.
you get kind of pissy, right? Like, what the fuck? Do they not know who I am?
So my wife watches all these podcasts because she's a supporter of you.
Appreciate it.
You know.
Hi, Susan.
My wife's from LA, right? When we got married and I moved her out here to Georgia, she had a little bit of that.
Yeah.
And I remember talking, this is 14 years ago, but I remember talking with her about it early in our marriage and being like, what the fuck is up with that attitude? Like this holier than thou type of LA's the best. They got the best Korean bar, you get
Everything's the best.
Everything's the best, and she would actually make a point early in our marriage. Like why should I memorize these roads? Like, I know everything out of LA. I don't need to memorize the roads here. Like, just use GPS. I'm like, girl, you're going to be staying here for a while. Like, you should learn. Now, decade plus later, she's just like, Georgia's the best. It's the best. LA's a shit box now, especially over the last decade. It's turned into a shithole.
And I don't think it's their fault. It's the city, society, city culture that makes them that way. That you have to figure out a way to stand out amongst others. There's so many people, and so many people are exactly the same, that everyone wants to do something different to stand out and be a little bit better. Otherwise, how do you differentiate yourself? There's so many of you.
I saw a meme. You just reminded me of a meme. I love memes. Memes.
Really?
I love memes because memes tell you a truth hidden within the hypocrisy or the comedy of the meme. But I saw a meme that showed a linear graph, essentially showing that the chances of your kid being blue-haired or trans or obese was a direct function of whether you were in a city. Like, the more that you're deeper into the city, the higher chances you have blue hair, green hair, or you're a blue hair sheepdog. And I started laughing so hard because if you really think about it, it's kind of true.
Yeah.
Like, we're in Georgia, out in Woodstock, Georgia, out in Tucker, Georgia, out in Gwinnett, Georgia, out in Alpharetta, Georgia, you don't see a whole lot of blue-haired sheepdogs.
It's not a big thing.
But if you go downtown to Little 5 Points, or you go downtown on the east side or the west side, like, you'll see a lot more of that shit. So the reason I bring that up is the only way to differentiate yourself in these huge just amalgamation of human biomass together in this one city. Of course you have to have green hair because everyone looks same.
Everyone wants to be individual. And the internet has made everyone feel like if you don't stand out in one way, shape, or form, you're nobody. So you're driven to figure out what that is.
What a shallow existence.
And it's tough because if you're young, I read a stat. Can you look this up for me, Will? I read a stat that said 20% of Gen Z identifies as LGBTQ+.
Get the fuck out of here.
20%.
We didn't even know what that was when we were going in high school.
That is a big fucking number. 20%.
I think it's probably even higher than that.
I mean, if you're just logical, and if everyone started becoming one of the letters, how do you make society move forward? Nearly 20% of Gen Z say they identify as LGBT.
You wasn't lying.
Dude, that shit's
shit's crazy. 10,000 people is a lot. That's a big number.
That's a big survey.
It's better than the usual 305.
Yeah, that's bigger than a political survey where they say plus or minus 3%.
Yeah. I love political surveys where they show you the end denominator. It's like 305 people. It's like, the fuck?
Or they interview 300 people and they say approximately 30.45%. Like, do you have to put the 4.5? You've been at 30 people.
At this point, just round the fuck up.
Yeah.
If it's 36%, just round it to 40%. Is how you do it. Oh man, that is a crazy stat. 20%.
20%. I'm sorry for all the people out there like, oh, you guys are exaggerating. 19.7%.
Matt, you stand corrected. 19.7%, nearly 20%.
Nearly 20
of Gen Z. And the N was 10,000 people. That's a lot of people.
And I don't care what you do with your life at all.
Peace. Fair. We both agree on that. I don't give a fuck what you do with your life.
Today, I took my dog, my Nugs, our French bulldog. I took him to the vet.
I saw that Instagram reel.
Super cute. he has like an ear infection.
Aw.
So I took him to the vet, and it was a nurse and a doctor or vet. I don't know if they call them doctors, vet, that I met for the first time at our normal place. And the nurse came in, and she was like a stereotypical letter person. And then the doctor came in, and they were a stereotypical letter person. And I stopped for a second. I didn't say anything. They were very friendly. I was very friendly with them. And I stopped. I was like, does that make me feel weird? Or does that make me feel away? I wanted to know. Like give myself a true moment of reflection at that point, right in the middle of it. Like, am I being bigoted in any way? No. I felt completely comfortable with giving them, we had a great conversation, we joked, we laughed. I gave them my dog, full trust of my dogs with them. The interaction was great. And I just wanted to just take a second to think, because we have these conversations about these letters. Am I being maybe too much? So I just took a step back, and I was like it didn't bother me at all. I don't give a fuck what you do with your life. I don't care how you live your life. I care if you tell me how to live my life. And that's my line. I don't like it that the government is coming in and try to tell us how to live our lives, try to control the way we live our lives, telling us we have to believe this, we can't believe this. If I don't want to believe that you can be born a certain way, I'm allowed to believe that. You can't tell me I have to believe it.
Exactly. And I think,
if you believe it, I don't give a fuck. I accept that you believe that. It's fine with me.
Fair enough. I still might under my breath and say that you're fucking stupid, but I will respect your autonomy to choose how you want to live your life. And I think it's important for all of the listeners here in the Matt Kim podcast, smash the like button, join the Discord, and leave a comment. For everyone here, I think it's important to remind our audience that really is where we're coming from.
Correct.
Is when we talk shit or we make color commentary or maybe even derogatory color commentary towards some of these people groups. We're not doing it from a place of malice.
No.
We're doing it as a reaction to the fact that maybe the brand ambassadors for those communities are trying to shove it down our throats. We're not saying everyone's like that, because you went to the vets and they didn't shove it down your throats.
Not at all.
They were regular people. They might have the they them pronouns on their fucking little.
If you had to draw it up, it's exactly what you would draw. However, didn't bother me one bit. I just want to bring it up because I did take that moment to think about it. I just wanted to make sure, like, am I not being as accepting as I want? And I realized I am fucking accepting. I don't fucking care. It didn't bother me at all.
And I really appreciate you sharing that, Matt, because that's part of the humanness that I know about you. And I think your audience here appreciates hearing those types of self-reflection things, because that matters. Like the fact that you're mature enough to sit there for a moment and say, look, okay, like, this is a maturity opportunity for me. Who am I? What do I care about? Am I going to let a potential, it's always a potential in the spectrum of possibilities, am I going to have potentially a bias create a model for me that would be unfair? And you took the moment and you said, fuck it. This is a transaction. They're providing hopefully a good service. And frankly, I don't care if you're fucking blue-haired sheepdog. If you provide a great veterinarian service and you take care of my bloody dog and do it well, I don't care if you don't have 2 heads.
No.
I don't care if you have 5 arms. Doesn't matter. And so I think that's fair. I appreciate you sharing that reflection, and I think that's something that more of our audience should do in their lives as well. Is not just be a consumer and then a reactor. I think a lot of people in social media, a lot of people in the news is just I consume this information, I'm upset, let me talk about it. You and I aren't that way. We're not getting upset over all the shit and all the propaganda and all the bullshit that's thrown at us.
A little bit.
We get annoyed because the friction's there's so much friction these days.
Correct.
Like, it's really hard to bring up any of these topics in any type of generalized conversation, because every one of these topics that we're bringing up, Matt, are just filled with landmines, and people get so fucking sensitive over shit.
The other side just gives generic talking point answers, and you can tell they've never actually thought about it themselves.
Yes.
That they're just regurgitating what they read, which was a headline, and that becomes a literal being, a part of who they are. And they get so angry that you don't accept their point of view, but it's not even a point of view. It's one. I know a lot of people that are very liberal,
So
and,
do I, yeah.
and when I sit down and talk with them, a lot of them are able to clearly tell me why they feel a certain way. And I can respect that they have a different point of view, that they have a different vantage point on different topics. I can live with that. But when you respond to me with blah, 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 this, and it's just literally, it seems like you're in the room with the ladies at the View.
It's just bullet point after bullet point, talking point.
And when you do that, I just can't take you seriously.
Yeah, you can't.
I just can't, you know?
I actually had a conversation with a very liberal friend probably half a year ago, and we came to an alignment that I think was very fair, is that many of these individuals that we're kind of generalizing here, but for a purpose, is we came to this conclusion that most of those people build their lives around conclusions rather than the thinking process to get there. Because the mainstream media talking heads will always give you the conclusion. Orange man bad. White supremacist bad. That's the conclusion. There's no critical thinking that's happening is the problem. And I think I appreciate about this last story that you had is that the fact that you're willing to be a critical thinker and willing to engage with other critical thinkers. You might not agree with the process or how their rationale came about to their conclusion, but at least they can communicate the rationale to the conclusion.
I think their own conclusion.
Right.
That's all I care about.
Most people have a conclusion, and that's the answer. It's like, well, how did you get to that? Well, and you see this on those clips on Twitter and Instagram all the time where some guy's going out interviewing people and say, how many states are there? And the girl will look at them and be like, 15? And he's like, yes. Right? And he's like, who's the first president? Is it Obama? King Obama? And he's like, yes. I mean, so it's all these, anyway, I could go on and on. Just a bunch of people who aren't actually fucking thinking about it. But it's still depressing to think about the whole idea that we potentially have 150 million people in America who literally are brainwashed and believe all this shit. Hook, line, and sinker, baby.
I recently put up a reel on Instagram. I think they're reels, right? Instagram reel. And it was from our conversation talking about Trump and Biden. Mm-hmm. And I think the most liked comment on that is, Matt, don't you know that Trump hates people like you?
Ugh. That's a conclusion. It's a conclusion.
It's the most liked comment.
Oh, I didn't hear that part.
Yes. Meaning someone put it up, and the other people had to watch the reel, decide, I want to get into the comment section and say, that's the one I like. Because if you don't like what I said, you could just scroll on.
Yeah. You
watched it.
I'm sure it's not bots or some shit like that.
My page is just not big enough to attract all the bots, right? And I got into like these comment wars with all these people, and I'm like, okay, am I fighting with a bot or am I fighting with someone real?
Sometimes that could be fun though. It's a time killer.
People are messaging me from like their business accounts or like their workout accounts.
Jeez.
Or I'm like, these are real people with like actual engagement on their page and like pictures of their family. And I'm like, what the fuck?
It's kind of like the whole scenario when you see this hot, beautiful bombshell of a lady, and then she opens her mouth, and you're like, holy fuck, dude, you were a 10. You opened your mouth, you immediately went to a 3. It's like these guys, it's like you run a business, you're a manager, you're a senior, whatever, but then you say this shit, all of my respect for you completely was eviscerated in this moment.
And I was like, and I try to at least engage a little bit with people that I feel like are real, like real profiles, like actual people. I'm like, okay.
I feel like I got to go back in these comments.
Maybe
now.
I can
I need to see this shit show.
And people are just, that's why I said over half the country has no fucking clue.
So what do you think needs to happen to wake them up?
We just need to keep talking. Because I've had people like, oh, if they said, I'm ignorant. You're so ignorant that people like you shouldn't be allowed to have a podcast.
They say that? I mean, I act like I'm surprised. Yeah. I fucking make videos every day. I get shit like this all the time.
Yeah.
But I guess I'm genuinely still surprised because I know you, Matt.
Yeah.
And you're totally the last person within my context right now of decision making of people that you would want to say that to.
Yeah.
They're just fucking plain ignorant. You're like, come on.
And when you hear things like that,
Guys, this guy hangs out with white people and black people. He hangs out with black people, Indian people, white people. Like, trust me.
Trump hates people
Jeez.
like you. And I think I said it like, and they say the right is racist. You know, most of the racial hate I've ever received in my life has been from Democratic areas, liberal comments.
People hate hearing that, but that's the truth, man.
Yeah.
It's the truth.
I've lived in Georgia for over 10 years now. I live in the part where the world tells me all the white supremacists live. I live in the Confederate South in Georgia.
Southeast.
People are awesome here. So accepting, so amazing, so down to earth, conservative, and you don't have these problems.
So I think one of the big problems with the word conservative is it's such an umbrella term and it's hard to really figure out. I think for most people, they just see orange man bad, conservative, racist, which is the worst moniker. It's the worst connection point anyway. Sometimes I feel the need to explain if I ever get into these conversations with people. They say, "Are you conservative?" And my answer always immediately without hesitation is yes. But then I always feel like I have to qualify it. Let me explain to you what I say. When I qualify conservative, I give real examples. Someone say, "Oh, you sound like you're conservative." Are you conservative, Peter? Yes. I want to conserve family. I want to conserve the rights of speech. I want to conserve my ability to own any type of firearm I want. I want to conserve school choice. I want to conserve religious freedom. This is why I'm conservative. Not for all the biases and models that you are about to throw on me. I want to conserve good family values. Do we agree on that? Yes. Okay. So that's why I'm conservative, because I want to conserve good principles, good lifestyles, and people keeping their nose out of my fucking business. That's what I want to conserve. So call me conservative for wanting to conserve these types of things. That's how I define conservatism, at least for me. And I think it's important that you hear that.
And I think it's a really good way to put it, you know?
I appreciate it.
I think that's it for today. Conservative Matt, conservative Pete.
We just want to conserve good. We just want to conserve good values, guys. Will, see us off.
Thank you, everybody. Have a good night. That was good.
We didn't miss a beat.
No.